town of Eldermire was perpetually shrouded in a dense mist that clung to the weary facades of its aged buildings, each morning unfurled with a damp chill, a spectral fog weaving through the narrow, crooked streets, rustling against cracked window panes. This small town prided itself on its unvarying rhythm. Seasons ambled through a predictable cycle, and the townsfolk navigated lives steeped in daily monotony. Yet beneath the deceptive calm, something sinister brewed. Festering just out of sight, Evelyn Collins, a humble figure in an unremarkable existence, toiled at the local library. On one particularly unsettling morning, she arrived to find the sun obscured by a sallow gray sky. Settling into her routine of sorting through the disheveled stacks, she was suddenly overtaken by a heavy, almost suffocating sensation in the air, a palpability that seemed to curl around her very consciousness. It began with a faint throbbing against her temple, a quiet vibration that twisted and writhed, persistent yet mercifully hushed. It was the whispers that came first, not those exchanged amongst library patrons, but rather a low, guttural sound that reached into her dreams, the eerie echoes of distant, nightmarish chants embedding themselves in her mind. In her waking hours, Evelyn caught fleeting glimpses of movement at the edges of her vision, shadows darting just beyond reach, twisting into shapes that no one else seemed to notice. Those insistent whispers curled around her thoughts, their urgency wrapping tighter around her mind like a vice. Each heartbeat pulsed in her ears, feeding the icy chill that coursed down her spine. As days melted into weeks in Eldermire, the terrifying whispers intertwined with the relentless rhythm of her thoughts. Paranoia slithered around her like an ever-tightening serpent. Friends with whom she once shared laughter drifted into a hallowed silence. Their eyes grew vacant and distant, as though they had glimpsed something unforgivable lurking beyond the fringes of reality. One evening, following an unsettling interaction with Mrs. Henderson, her elderly neighbor, Evelyn felt an unshakable urge to walk along the town's edge, where the woods pressed in, darker than twilight should allow. She tried to convince herself that the shadows were merely trees. Yet when she grasped a low-hanging branch for support, its bark radiated an unsettling warmth against her fingers. Startled, she stumbled backward, her heart racing as she noticed a familiar, dim glow pulsating from deeper within the woods. A rhythm like an existential metronome echoing from a shadowy nightmare. In that moment, her resolve crumbled, surrendering entirely to fear as she ventured further into the dark embrace of the forest. The ground sank beneath her, almost inhaling her weight as if it were a malevolent entity. An organic yet alien thickness filled the air, a sulfurous stench that felt alive, breathing in sync with her own rhythm. And then she saw it, not as one might glimpse a bird or a deer, but as if her mind had been pried open, revealing a grotesque understanding. A vast, undulating mass emerged from the shadows, its phosphorescent hues swirling like spilled ink across a void. It was not a creature of flesh, but of essence, an amalgamation of thought, will, and insatiable hunger spilling into her awareness. "Join us," it whispered. The voice surged through her mind, flooding her with harrowing images woven from infinite despair and delight, a cosmic tapestry offering knowledge far beyond human comprehension. The townsfolk had not simply slipped into silence. They had become vessels, conduits for a much grander, darker force. Panic gripped Evelyn, her heart racing against her ribs. She stumbled back, breath hitching, as the horrifying truth crashed over her. There was no escape. She would not be allowed to flee. With every step she took away from the glowing entity, her grasp on reality began to slip, her own reflection warping in the veil. Would she too surrender her humanity, merging into their all-consuming hive existence? A groan formed on her lips, half-formed words lost in spirals of terror swirling around her. Would she arrive at an answer, or would she succumb, embraced by an indifferent pulse from beyond the stars, waiting for her ultimate surrender? As the mist thickened, wrapping itself around the trembling figure of Evelyn Collins, she stood at the precipice of transformation. In the heart of Eldermire, where eternal whispers echoed, shadows danced and flickered, intertwined with an unfathomable abyss. Would she lose her mind entirely, or would she discover it anew, twisted luminously in the haunting embrace of that which lay hidden beyond the stars?